Before we install WordPress, let's go over what you need to have to install it. Now, let me point out that we are looking at hosting WordPress on your own domain name. So we're looking at WordPress.org, which is the script you install. There's also WordPress.com, which is a platform that is hosted by WordPress itself. You can create a free blog on here, but it isn't nearly as flexible. Plus, you don't have complete control over it. So I just wanted to make that clear that we are talking about hosting your own WordPress site. Now, to do that, you're going to have a couple things. Let's go over what you need. First of all, you're going to need a domain name. This is your www address. So there are different places you can register them. For instance, GoDaddy and Namecheap. So you can just go find a domain name by doing a search and register it. The other thing you're going to need is web hosting. Usually you can get web hosting at the same spot where you get your domain name, or you can get it in other places. Personally, I never get them at the same place. I register my domains at one spot and I host them somewhere else. But of course, that's entirely up to you. So for instance, HostGator, you get hosting for as little as $3.99 per month. Now what you need to make sure you get is a MySQL database, and all the packages from HostGator have that. So if we were to go and have a look here, for instance, let's just click up here on web hosting. Okay, and then you have your different plans here. So either get a baby or a business plan if you're going to go with HostGator. So you can compare all the plans by clicking here and just see which one suits your needs. So if you look at the comparison here at what you get, you can see the differences here. Now the main one that you need to watch out for is the one domain name versus unlimited domain names. If you are going to ever build more than one website, you might as well go for the baby plan here. So that's the main difference between these two that you need to worry about. I wouldn't buy one that you can only host one domain on. Of course, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so once you have your domain name and hosting, you can go ahead and start installing WordPress, and that's what we'll go over next here. Now, there are a couple ways to install WordPress. Most hosting providers have a way that you can use an automatic installer. So you'll find something like Quick Install on some hosting providers. And then all you have to do is find WordPress along the left-hand side here. So there it is there under blog software. So you can click on that, and then you can go through this wizard. So this is really straightforward. I'm not even going to demonstrate it. However, you should know how to install WordPress the manual way. Sometimes it's better to take control of the whole thing, and you should know how to do it. I personally always use the manual install when I'm installing WordPress, so we're going to go over that. So all you have to do is go to wordpress.org and then download the most recent version. You'll find it over here. And then you get to the next page and you want to download the zip file. And just save it to your computer. And the next thing you want to do is you want to unzip this. So if you right click here, you can use the built-in extract feature in Windows and unzip it that way. Or you can install a program called 7-Zip that you can get for free. You can just do a search for it if you want to use that. Or any other program you want to use, it'll unzip the files. So you can do a search for 7-Zip if you don't have a way to do it, and it's a free program you can install. I use it because it's the fastest one I found. So I just do extract files, click OK, and it'll extract all of WordPress right to this directory. So your WordPress files will be right inside here and inside the WordPress directory, and there is the whole WordPress script. Now what we need to do is upload that to our hosting account. To do that, you're going to need an FTP client. And you can get a free FTP client called FileZilla. Just do a search for it and download it and install it on your computer. So here's what FileZilla looks like. On the left-hand side, this will be the files on your computer. On the right-hand side, once you hook up to your server, this is where your files will be uploaded to. So to hook up to your server, you can put your host name in here, which is your domain name, and then the username and password for your hosting account. You can also go into your control panel or whatever you have to control your hosting and set up an FTP account there and use that. Now there's also, if you go into File and Site Manager, you can put your sites in here, and that way you'll be able to access them very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect up to my server. Okay, and here is my server on the right-hand side. Now on this side, I need to navigate to where my WordPress files are so that I can upload them. Okay, so to upload this, we can just go inside here and upload all of these. Now when I upload these over to here, they're going to be available right when I go to my domain name. What I mean by that is if I type my domain name in my browser bar, it's going to go right to WordPress. You can also put it in a directory, so it'll be your domain name / whatever directory you put here. So if you put blog, for instance, it would be your domain name / blog. So depending on which way you want it to appear, whether in a folder or right when you type in your domain name, that will determine how you upload your file. So when I type in my domain name, I want it to go right to my blog. Okay, so we're going to just select all these. Select one and hit Control-A, and then right-click and upload. That's going to upload the entire WordPress script there. Now the next thing we need to do is go and create a database for our WordPress blog since it is database driven. So go to the databases section of your control panel. If you're not using cPanel hosting, you'll be able to find it somewhere else, but you will be able to find somewhere to create a MySQL database. So I have this database wizard, so I'm going to go in here. So all you got to do is put a name in here for your database. It's always good to use a name that has something to do with the site you're creating if you can. So I'm just going to call this TST123. The next thing we need to do is create a username that can access the database, and this username and password will be used by WordPress to access the data. I'm just going to name it the same here. And then what you need to do is put a strong password in here, and you can use the password generator. So just copy this, and then say that you've copied it somewhere safe, click Use Password. You'll see you now have a nice strong password, and then create user. Next thing you need to do is give it all privileges, and next step. Now at this point you have everything you need. What you need to do is save it somewhere in Notepad or somewhere. So what I always do now is I save the information in a Notepad session. So I already have the password in my clipboard, so paste it in there. And then what we can do is just copy this right here. Just copy that one line. That contains your database name and your username, which you'll need during the install. So we'll paste that here. We now have everything we need going forward. Now let's go and see how our upload's doing. You'll see that it's now done. It says successful uploads, no failed uploads. So to get the install going, all we have to do now is type in the location where we uploaded this. So basically I just got to type in the domain name where I uploaded these files, where I want it installed. The first thing you need to do is choose your language. All right, now as telling us here, we need our database name, username, password, database host, and table prefix. So click Let's Go. We have most of that already. So if we bring up our notepad session here, we can take our password first, copy that, and paste it in where it says password. Now we made our database name and our username the same when we were creating them. So we just got to grab it once here. Just make sure they are the same, because one of them, I think it's the username, can't be quite as long as the database. So just make sure that they are actually the same, and then you can paste them both in here. Of course, if they're different, you need to paste them in properly here. Now, you'll see here something called database host. Most of the time this is right, but not always. So you need to go and determine what goes there. So if you go to the database and then you go to phpMyAdmin, you see up in the left-hand corner up here, it says server localhost. So whatever that says there, that's what you need in your install. So that's correct for me. The next thing is a table prefix. This is so you can install multiple instances of WordPress in one database just by changing the table prefix. If you have unlimited databases, then you don't have to worry about changing it. But I always change it from WP just for security reasons. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to call it MT for my test. But whatever you want to do, you can put it here. Okay, let's submit. So it makes sure that everything's right at this point, and then run the install. Okay, so now we'll give it a site title. Then you need a username. Don't use admin, use something else. So I'll use blog guy. You need to give it a password and then an email address here. Allow search engines. You can leave this on or off. If you turn it off now during the install process and setup, you're going to need to turn it on later if you want the search engines to be able to find your site. I'm just going to leave it on. So I'll fill the rest of this out and then we'll install WordPress. Okay, and log in. Okay, and I'm just going to have it remember me. We'll click login. And there we have it. WordPress is now installed.